It's March 17th. I'll call the North Kingstown School Committee business meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to recess to executive session pursuant to RIDL 42464 for discussion of job performance, character, or physical or mental health of a person or persons, provided that such person or persons affected shall have been notified in advance in writing and advised that they may require the discussion to be held in open meeting pursuant to RIGL 42465A1, certified employee G, recommendation for termination, and then appointment of school committee clerk. Can I get a number 2, sessions pertaining to potential litigation / legal advice and collective bargaining pursuant to RIGL 42465A2, NEA and K negotiations. And item 3, discussions of investigative proceedings regarding allegations of misconduct, either civil or criminal, pursuant to RIGL 42465A4. Can I get a motion to go into executive, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So we will come back. We recessed out of executive session. We'll return at the end of the meeting. Before the Pledge of Allegiance, we just wanted to acknowledge the loss of 2 town employees, North Kingstown Town Clerk Jeanette Elwood and North Kingstown Police Officer Brittany Dougal. And so please join me for a moment of silence after the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Karen Earl.
Here.
Robert Case.
Here.
Jennifer Lima. Here. Megan Riley.
Here.
Sherry Kennedy.
Here.
Josh Furtado. Sadie McCann.
Carol Linder.
March 18th, DEI Advisory Central Admin Conference Room, 5:30. March 19th, Health and Wellness Advisory Central Admin Conference Room, 4:30. March 23rd, Policy Advisory Central Admin Conference Room, 5 p.m. March 26th, CLAC Central Admin Conference Room, 6:45 p.m. April 1st, Building Advisory Central Admin Conference Room, 4:30 p.m. And the next school committee business meeting is on March 31st in the Central Admin Conference Room at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you. So next up on the agenda, we have presentation regarding concurrent and dual enrollment from the high school. And so we'll turn it over to Dr. Duva. And
Yes, thank you very much. So I just want to welcome Principal Mrs. Finkelstein and our Assistant Principal, Ms. Cherokee, who are here tonight to present on our concurrent and dual enrollment at the high school. So thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay. Good evening. I'm Jacqueline Cherokee, Assistant Principal for Teaching and Learning at North Kingstown High School, and we're here today to talk about data from last year relative to the 2024-2025 dual and concurrent enrollment data. So first, just talking about some initiatives that we introduced last year, and those were just opening up access points to some of our dual and concurrent enrollment opportunities for students that provide them higher level access to get college credit potentially at the high school level, and more involvement maybe in something more aligned to their post-secondary plans. And so some of those things were, we introduced AP Seminar, and it doesn't have any prerequisites. It is open to grades 10, 11, and 12, and it replaces an English credit. So this was one area that we opened access to higher level courses. And we also offered AP African American Studies. It's actually our only course that's available to 9, 10, 11, or 12 with no prerequisites needed. And that also, depending on their scores, same as AP Seminar, might give them college credit. It depends on the institution. Some prefer 3, 4, or 5. Some institutions prefer 4 or 5, but it puts them kind of into an entry point into higher level access. We also introduced Intro to Data and Computing Science, with depending on the student's GPA and grade, and also grade level that they take it in, could result in getting college credit specifically through URI. And this aligns with our computer science credits, so we were able to fulfill a RIDE requirement for computer science for graduation, as well as kind of enhance and open those doors to access. And the other areas that we added initiatives were German 1, 2, and next year and the year after will be 3 and 4. We've aligned with URI so that in theory students can achieve up to 12 credits through those classes as concurrent enrollment courses, and get credit at URI that can either be applied there or transferable. Other initiatives that we've been really working hard on is we've been working on our liaison, our vertical alignment with the middle schools, and we'll talk a little bit further about that in a moment. I'll show you how. But we've worked with the counselors, and we've aligned basically a flow chart of all of the opportunities available to students that are either dual or concurrent enrollment, and what that might mean for the decisions that they make at the high school. So we're starting those conversations in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade now, so they can plan into their high school years. And we physically have gone down into all of our feeder buildings, Jamestown, Wickford, DMS, to speak to the 8th graders. We usually go down around January to kind of talk to all of these opportunities and make sure they know where to find those opportunities and who to speak to. As you guys heard earlier in the year, we changed a lot of the verbiage in the program of studies to be less restrictive at times. So for example, rather than words like required, we might use suggested, or words like able, we might use interested. So we changed the verbiage so that students understand that we believe that all students should have access to higher level dual and concurrent courses. We also started holding 2 years ago an AP student and parent, student and guardian night, in which we gave the information as to how to get involved with AP level courses, what the process of applying for, or the contract rather, for AP level courses, and what each of them might look like. And as we move forward, we're also going to start opening this up rather than just AP to speak specifically to dual and enrollment across the board, because it goes far beyond just AP, as well as we've been working with the Rhode Island Department of Education and the All Course Network to put together, through our media and communications pathway students, a video of us interviewing RIDE reps and ACN reps, as well as students who have been involved in All Course Network courses, to kind of give more information about what those are and how students can get involved, because those are numbers we would like to bolster. So those are just the initiatives that we've engaged in. And this top bit here, you already may have it, but I do have a printout. Oh, did you hand it? Oh, perfect. So this here is the specific data regarding some of our numbers when it comes to our dual and concurrent enrollment data. So first, we have our concurrent enrollment data. For those that don't know, concurrent means that it's being taught by our teachers who are certified to teach the course in-house, but they're getting college credit for it, depending on the institution. So this is basically outlines all of those courses that we have, and a breakdown of how many were enrolled last year, how many passed the course successfully with a 70 or higher, how many were free and reduced lunch, and then the demographic, race and ethnicity breakdown per class. And this helped us to identify some areas that were really doing well in terms of growth and diversity and access, as well as areas that we would like to kind of look further on. And if you don't mind just scrolling all the way to the last slide, or the last page on this one, this is what the entire class-wide data looked like last year. If you could just scroll down to the very last, so this breaks it down freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, but that last one there shows what the whole cohort last year was between all 4 grades. And so we had an enrollment of 1,311 students. 24% of those students received free or reduced lunch. 84% of those students were Caucasian, 7% were multiracial, 2% were African American, 2% were Asian, 0.6% were Native American, 0.2% were Pacific Islander, 92% were non-Hispanic, and 8% were Hispanic. And so we used this data to kind of compare when we looked from class to class to see if we're getting generally a reflective numbers of what the whole population might look like. And so some of the areas that we, or actually, let me back up for a second. We found that we have 977, as of last year, students enrolled in concurrent courses. So that might be one student taking more than one. We'd have to kind of disaggregate it a little bit more to see that. But in total, there were 977 enrollments in those courses. There were 43 students enrolled in dual enrollment, so that would include students who are taking courses off campus and getting college credit, so All Course Network. They could be taking it through the network or physically at an institution like URI, RIC, etc., or through Prepare RI, where they can take courses at institutions, universities, and that could be put on their transcript here for college credit and for North Kingstown High School credit, as well as students who are enrolled in Running Start, which is their senior year. They go to CCRI and they take their senior year there. So we had a total in all of those programs of 43 students. And then enrolled in AP classes, which is a little bit higher up there, you'll notice they were broken down into those 3 categories. AP classes, like I said, they can count towards college credit if the student received typically a 3 or higher on the exam. So either a 3 or 4 or 5 for most schools would be acceptable to receive that college credit. For some of our Ivy League institutions, that might be 4 or 5 on their final exam. It depends on the class, depends on the institution. We have a breakdown of that in the program of studies for students. And so 565 students, again, it could be some students taking more than one class, were enrolled in an AP level course last year.
Sorry, just to make sure my brain's working, is tested the same as enrolled on the
No, so enrolled was everybody that was enrolled.
But So on your AP one,
Yep,
12, how many students took AP art? Is it 12?
yes.
And every student took the test?
So that data was in Shivali's presentation previously, so I didn't add it into
Okay,
this.
so we could compare those
Absolutely.
to see how many, if we wanted to know how many are taking it versus how many are enrolled.
Testing
we'd be
and
looking at two different ones.
Yes.
Yep, I just wanted
absolutely.
to make sure I understood that.
Yep, no problem. So yeah, so to clarify, those are all that were enrolled. Those were who scored at, so there's a breakdown here of who scored 3 or higher on their assessment as the second column of those who tested. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that number could be.
And so the free and reduced lunch and the demographics are just for students who tested?
No, enrolled.
Okay.
So the only line there that might be a little bit different in terms of how many actually partook in the test would be that second column.
Okay,
So that data is on everybody that was enrolled in the class.
okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And so when we internally looked at this data, some areas kind of stuck out to us. So I think generally speaking, we've been working really hard to open access so that students had that opportunity to go into dual and concurrent enrollment courses and programs. But when we look at the data, there's some things that stick out. So areas that we're working on, again, this was last year, so some of this will have already shifted a little bit into this year. American popular music was an area that there was not much diversity in the program, as well as the numbers could be bolstered, so that's an area we want to look at. And so the programs or the courses that I speak on right now are areas that we saw maybe like an entire group might not have been represented in that, and that's what we mean where we want to kind of open up the diversity of that. So American popular music was one of them. Communications 1 through 4, we thought we could do a better job with diversity. Engineering graphics, that was particularly stuck out to us in numbers and in diversity. German 1, 2, 3, and 4. Global business. All course network, again, we're working to kind of communicate more to our students what all course network is and hoping to fix that moving forward and open up that access. AP art is an area we'd like to look at. AP calculus AB, AP chemistry, AP computer science, AP Lang and Lit, AP environmental science, AP French, AP music theory, AP physics 1 and 2, AP US government and politics, and AP US history. So if I named it, it means that there's an entire group that's not represented there, whether it's, African American, Pacific Islander, multi, Hispanic, non-Hispanic. You can kind of go to each category to see what we would like to work on in the future. So before I move on to the next slide, does anybody have questions on this particular part? Jen?
So thank you for putting all these numbers together. I appreciate it. One of my questions was, it stood out of the engineering and graphics that only 57% of the students passed.
Yep.
Do you have any idea what the reason was for that? That seemed to be the lowest
Yes.
one outside of the AP classes.
I'd have to look deeper into that. I know it's one of our more challenging,
Okay.
but I will look into that and get back to you with what probably Mr. Powell might be able to give us a little bit more information on that one.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then, I appreciate you highlighting the areas, that are not indicative of our population. But the other thing I noticed in that area was the Running Start program.
Yes.
Do you have any idea why that percentage is so out of whack in terms of the total percentage of Black and African American students?
Sure. So that, I don't know that specific answer, but I can tell you with the Running Start program, and I can look into that, but the Running Start program, we also have to respond to the criteria that CCRI sets forward for us, and so it depends a little bit on GPA, it depends on how they're setting it. Is that what you mean?
I'm more worried that there's 9% of students who took advantage of that, but the total population is only 2%, so it's overrepresented.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So that is concerning to me, that there is a large portion of students who are
Wanting to go outside of.
take advantage of it and therefore leave the high school.
Gotcha.
So if
Yeah.
you could look into that, I would
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
it.
Anything else? Did you have your hand?
Yeah, thanks. I had a question about the very, very first slide about the prerequisites.
Yeah.
It was probably back.
Out
I
of
think
this
it was,
document, right?
I think it was a black and gold slide, possibly.
Yeah, I think it's
Like right at the beginning. So I noticed the first two, and are those, you said those are the only two that do not have prerequisites?
So they're not. We do have others that don't have prerequisites, but these are, College Board in and of itself has been working to open access. So 2 years ago, I attended equity and advanced placement courses training by College Board, and these were two courses that were put forward. One, there was kind of a demand, like AP Seminar, for example, they specifically lean into presentation, collaboration, research skills, critical thinking skills, things that they're being asked. And they had felt that there was a underrepresentation of the full scope of African American experience and the history there outside of maybe what's already covered in US 1 and US 2, like little pockets of experiences. And so those two were specifically added to open a little bit more access in terms of rigor. Might not be like AP Bio where there's significant prerequisites to get in, and that might be in and of itself a little bit of a barrier for some students. But there are other classes like AP Art, for example, there's an access point there. There's different ones. So we break that down usually, like when we go down to the middle schools and we speak with them about what is available to them, we'll go over that. But we were hoping to add more because we found that we had a dominance of courses that did have prerequisites, or maybe there were other barriers like, having the suggestion to take an honors level class or something prior to, or these particular content areas. So this was just opening up more that don't have prerequisites.
So I can understand the concept of trying to make the classes more available to a wider variety of students. I guess my concern, and this is probably because I don't understand it, and that's why I'm asking, is that usually for APs, the whole reason you have prerequisites is to prepare the students so that you're not setting them up for failure, because AP courses are more rigorous. They tend to end earlier, like a whole month of school earlier. You have summer work you have to do for all the ones that I've seen, and I've seen my own children do. Take. I'm just wondering if you think so it sounds like the College Board is itself trying to be more accommodating. So I guess what I'm saying is, are we making sure that we're not setting our students up for failure by not having, you don't have to do prerequisites, but also is the work going to be just as rigorous and hard, and then they don't have that foundation that they need? I mean, obviously I'm sure the College Board has thought about that, and until you just said that, I didn't realize this was the College Board working with this, but I just get worried that prerequisites are really there as a support system. I mean, historically, they've been there to make sure that the students have the background they need to go into that course level.
Yeah, and I think so I understand what you mean, that course by course, it depends on if they need a foundation of a specific skills to go in. I always use AP Bio as an example because there's, like I said, you have to have biology and chemistry foundation before you enter the course, or else you're not going to have the same starting point or access. Whereas something like AP African American Studies or AP Seminar, the prerequisites aren't needed to step into the class, but there's an understanding that the rigor with the material that's being taught is still held to a standard. There is the fast-paced rigor, there's a lot of information, the skill sets and whatnot, and so that's why we have the AP night, so that students and families can come out and kind of here's what's expected. We want everybody to have the opportunity to step into a more rigorous environment. We also do have very honest conversations with families when we feel, here's the truth, here's the history of this particular student's experience thus far. There might be a differential. We do believe we have substantial supports at the high school to get students through that. So I always use a specific example of a student who came to me and didn't have prerequisites to go into honors level in their 10th grade year, and came to me with an appeal. And he had previously had a 70 in the class prior to, which is 15 points below what we would typically accept. When I heard his reasoning, we gave him that entry point. We supported him significantly, and after about 2 quarters, he got the hang of it, and now that student's in lots of AP and honors courses 2 years later. So we've definitely seen both sides. I would not say that we send somebody into that without kind of that conversation and criteria around it, but it is course by course.
Okay.
In terms of what's needed for it. But I don't believe that these two, without prerequisites, denotes that they wouldn't be ready. That would be a little bit more of like a school counselor having that conversation, or maybe myself with the family if we feel this is their first, and what that might look like compared to what they've done.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I would also like to add, we look at prerequisites in two ways. One is like just the skills and the stamina, study skills needed, and then there's content knowledge. So some APs have requirement for content knowledge, plus the stamina is always needed for an AP class. But then there are some where it's just building up those study skills and just teaching them how to be a student, which is kind of what we are trying to do with the 9th grade PLTs. That's what we want to try to do. So the more we do that, the hopefully these opportunities where content knowledge may not be required, we can still have students be successful. And Jackie does a fabulous job at the AP night. She really kind of talks about different examples of what does it mean to be in an AP class versus not, and what are you going to have to persevere through. So
Okay,
if
thank
that
you.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Jackie, I know you did a nice job giving us the demographics for like racial diversity, but do you have any breakdowns of like enrollment based on like male, female, non-binary students?
We
just
have
to
it.
see? Yeah.
We do have it. I didn't prepare
It's
it
okay.
for tonight, but
no,
I can.
Yeah, just something I think like
Yeah.
just to think about making sure that like that is also being represented in AP courses.
Absolutely. I can definitely do that. Anything else on, let me go back here, the concurrent and dual enrollment data? Yeah.
Can I ask you about the running start? So it says 72% pass, and I know
Yes.
but that's because some kids went back to the high school. Is that why?
No, actually, so
Or-
what it means is if somebody passed 100%, it means, so we have our expectations of them to get a North Kingstown High School diploma, and typically by the time they get to senior year, all they need from us is a math and English and a PE credit. They might take more, they usually take more and fill up their credits outside of that, but they might fulfill the requirements for us, but maybe not pass all of their classes for CCRI. So those numbers are saying they received their diploma and they did everything that they needed to for us, but they might not have passed every class they enrolled in at the college level.
Okay.
It doesn't follow them for us, but it follows their transcript with CCRI.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Kind of. I mean, like, so those kids who didn't pass, is it concerning? Do we need to help them, or were they not ready to go to CCRI maybe their senior year? Or I'm just curious because 72% seems low for passing.
Usually
Yeah,
that's
when-
something that they work on with their counselor at CCRI
Oh,
because
okay.
they have both of us. So like we're
Okay.
we're always meeting with them to make sure they're following their requirements and whatnot, and we're helping them. But if they're having the issues outside of what they need to do for us, they usually work with a team there.
Yeah, and again, we have definitely talked about this with the counselors, to have a closer eye, not just on their graduation requirements when they go away from us, but just to kind of make sure we are looking at their other courses and following up with them. We can certainly get better in that area.
I would say though that's probably fairly consistent with what a high school graduate rate, if they were taking courses at CCRI after they graduated, like they're not all 100% passing their courses.
So that's
either.
normal.
I think that's probably
It could be like one
higher
class.
or normal. I think that's probably higher than what a typical first year at CCRI student's pass rate is,
Right.
if I had to guess.
And they go away
Which is a
from
good
us,
thing.
so they get a little bit more independent when they are with us. It's even if they don't need the course, it's just a different level of support and structure they have when they're gone. Sometimes, a lot of times I've talked to some students and they're like, well, I don't need that class. I really don't need that class, right? Like the senioritis gets even higher on the higher year when they're away from us. So that, I think that plays into it, but we can do a better job, and we have talked about with our counselors that we need to follow up, not just senior project, not just math PE, like take a look at their other courses and let's make sure that they are, because it does follow them, it does go on their transcript at
Right.
CCRI, so we want to try to make that better.
Yeah, no, and it explains it because I was thinking, look, when you look at it first, you're like, did only 72% of those 32 actually graduate? But I get what you're saying.
Historically, we've actually, like according to what they've completed, we've had 100% success rate when we send them. At least in the last 5 years, we looked back, everybody who goes to Running Start gets through the program
Yeah,
successfully.
we have never
Yeah.
had anybody that
Come
has
back.
not graduated that has gone to Running Start.
Yeah.
If that,
Yeah, it's fun. I know. It's just like the numbers when you
Yeah.
just look at them, stand still.
Anything else on that? This will be quick, but do you mind clicking on the second one there, advanced level courses? So this is the document I was referring to that we created in alignment with the middle schools so that they could have a flow chart when they're talking to their kids of in every different content area. Here are all of the opportunities to receive potentially college credit or concurrent and dual enrollment opportunities. We have our CTE and internal pathways outlined there. And then on the second page, it just goes over, here's how to find in detail, the program studies, and also Running Start is at the top there, just so they are able to kind of have just a cheat sheet when they're talking to their kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as to what's available at the high school. And then the next, if we want to X out of this, is just an example of last year's presentation. So this was students preparing for this year. And I just clicked through this. We start by explaining what an AP course is. Again, we're going to update this moving forward to include all higher level courses. We explain the grade that you need on the exam if you do take it and that it varies. We explain that they're rigorous and that the students exercise skills such as time management, reading stamina, various levels of study. And then our belief. We believe that all students should have access and opportunity to take AP level courses. Some have prerequisites, some don't. And we have systems in place. We talked about this, but this was shared with families last year and students last year. And then we talked to them at that time about what was available to them and what the timeline looks like so that they were prepared. We'd go over the contract, the summer work, why summer work, deadline, all of that. And these are the key points of the contract so they're aware before they get involved. And then we had some teachers, this was Mr. Propetier and Miss Thompson, that came out to talk about some of our AP classes, which was nice. We always open it to anybody that wants to come. So that's just an example of what that night looks like for families and students to make sure we're following our initiatives and we can X out of this. The last thing, I know that the committee had asked for data of NKHS compared to other schools. Shivali and I reached out to the Rhode Island Department of Education to see what the easiest way to do that is, and they pointed us in the direction of this really helpful website here. In the data center, if you slide down a little bit, you can see, right there's good, that second to last where it says statewide AP participation and demographics. I think that might be specifically what the committee was hoping to see. If you could just click that really quick, that third one, yeah, yep. And this speaks to, where is it? All of
This is demographics.
Yeah, demographics. It tells you through the state, how many students took courses, the different demographics that took courses that you might want to break down. And then in the following, in that progression of dots at the top, if you go back up to the one that says AP exam distribution by school, pass and fail rates, this breaks it down by school, how many students took the exam, how they did on the exam, how we compare to other schools. If you keep going down a little bit, that really breaks down on the left where it says school name. You can see how each of the schools kind of compares. The thing that is difficult is that the data doesn't fully represent the picture in that it doesn't show how, what the school population looks like compared to how many students are taking it, how many are enrolled. There's a lot of variables that aren't represented, but it does give a good snapshot to start looking in there. And we certainly sit on the higher end in terms of students who participate and actually take the test. And do well on the test. We sit on the higher end of the state, which is really encouraging. And so there's a little, you can toggle up and down to get through all of the different schools. And these data here that you're looking at, I think is 2022 to 2023. So they still have to update for the year we're talking about here. But that's what we were able to find to kind of answer that question, which was interesting for us to look into as well. Otherwise, it wasn't particularly available outside of that. And I think that kind of wraps up everything. Does anybody have any questions for us or hope to see something further?
Another demographic that I would be curious about is IEP and 504.
Sure.
Like the percentage of students that are taking APs and these sorts of things. And sorry for not sending those in advance and no rush on,
That's all right.
on that data. Those are just two, like when we're kind of looking at data, I try to look at all of the different things that we look for everything, and those are two that would be helpful.
They're coming back in August, right?
For this year's data.
Yeah. Add the male, female, and
Yeah, no rush.
504 data.
Yeah,
Just to see if there's any opportunity there for students.
absolutely.
So I knew that North Kingstown did very well in terms of the pass-fail percentage, but it was really shocking to see when on that last page there, how really well compared to a lot of the other districts. So that was really eye-opening, and thank you for pointing that. The one thing, and I know this isn't you, it's right, but I just wish that on the demographic page that you were able to drill down by school instead of because it only gives
us
the
too.
state level. Yeah,
Yep.
so that's but it does give like a high level thing, so that was interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was really surprised to see how much better than a lot of the other districts. So, and I do appreciate how much work you've done around opening up access and really providing the supports that are needed for the students who are looking to get into those, especially with the dual, concurrent, those types of things. So, that's important. So thank you.
And I'm really excited for our August presentation because I do think we're going to see substantial differences just from this to that with what we've been pushing over the last few years, because a lot of it came through this year. So I think it's going to be cool to kind of compare the growth. I think we'll really be able to see it more.
And I shared this with the committee. I'm sure you watch every school committee meeting in great depth, but I was at a meeting for something else, and they were commending you and your work. It was connected with the AP and College Board, and they specifically mentioned you. So just wanted to share that they think you're doing a great job and appreciate the work that you're doing. And also, I think North Kingstown was a top 4 offerer of AP courses, like for what you're offering in the diversity. So that was cool to see as well.
Awesome.
Super
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Anything else from the committee? Questions, comments, things? Great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, citizens' comments. Do we have anyone signed up for citizens' citizen comments? Nope. Okay, thank you. So we'll move to the superintendent report. Dr. Dugan.
A few things to report out on tonight. The first one, I want to start with a public congratulations to Colleen Laughlin. Mrs. Laughlin is the Fishing Cove principal, and last week she was announced as the Rhode Island Elementary School Principal of the Year through the Rhode Island Association of School Principals. So congratulations to Mrs. Laughlin. Very well-deserved recognition, and of her staff and school community, as well as all of us, are very proud of her. Second, I just want to provide an update on the Child Nutrition Services federal audit. This happens every few years. NK had theirs this year. We're in the process, so it's the state does a federal audit of our child nutrition services and the program that we're providing, and we received very positive comments that Bridget had shared with me. So during the recent federal child nutrition audit, the auditor that was there, who visits school cafeterias across the country, offered very positive feedback on our child nutrition programs, and I wanted that noted tonight. She specifically highlighted the operational flow, the food options, and the high level of student engagement she observed in our cafeterias, and this recognition reflects the strong collaboration and leadership behind the scenes that make our program stand out nationally. So I want to express our appreciation to Trish Cawley, who's our supervisor, and to her team for the outstanding work that they do to support our school community each day. Next, I just want to provide an update that is actually related to that, that came up at one of our school committee meetings during budget time when there was a concern brought forward about the long lunch lines. So Stephanie Russo, our HR director, started to look into that. That it was reported that the long lunch lines might be an issue at the schools. So she is working with the food services and school principals. She met with our child nutrition service supervisor to discuss this issue and potential steps to address it. They reviewed the current staffing levels and recruitment efforts. At this time, both permanent and sub positions have been posted on School Spring and Indeed. Additionally, she is working on recruitment flyers that will go out in the town, specifically at the senior center. She also discussed the issue of long lunch lines at the recent administrative council meeting with school principals. During this discussion, it was noted that the issue does not appear to be consistent across all schools, but rather isolated to certain locations. And to better understand what is going on, they all agreed that the principals will track lunch line conditions over the next week. Specifically, they will record whether lunch lines are unusually long each day, note the menu options being served. This information will be shared with the HR director to review the data, identify any patterns, and determine what adjustments may help alleviate the problem. And they will determine if there are any trends or operational changes that could help reduce wait times. And all this information will be shared with the school committee at an upcoming meeting. Another important thing to note, at the high school, our Rotary, the NK Rotary Club has offered a scholarship for 4 of our high school students to attend this year's Youth Leadership Conference through the Rotary Youth Leadership, and that will That conference will be in May. The North Kingstown Educational Foundation is kicking off its 2026 Reading Madness Challenge. They encourage students and adults to increase their reading, and the top 4 schools will receive literacy grants for their school. The Reading Madness basketball game will bring this Reading Madness Challenge to a close with the North Kingstown School Department team versus the North Kingstown Police Department team on Friday, March 20th. I believe Mr. Mezzanotti will be playing on the NK team. Just another way that our admin team gets involved out there. Thank you for doing that. Survey Works. We are currently conducting Survey Works through the Rhode Island Department of Education. The Survey Works survey is open. We encourage all families to take a few minutes to complete it. Survey Works is an important opportunity for parents and guardians to share feedback about their child's school and overall experience in our district. And your input helps us better understand what we are doing well and where we can continue to improve. When completing the survey, responses are typically measured on a 1 to 5 scale. If you generally feel positive about your school experience in North Kingstown, a 4 or 5 best reflects that experience for a positive feedback. A 3 below is interpreted as more critical feedback. The feedback we receive directly informs our planning and helps us make decisions that support students, families, and staff. And we greatly appreciate the time that our families put into completing that survey. So give us your feedback. And lastly, the all-state musical ensembles started this past weekend and continue through next weekend. Our music department at the middle school and high school are very involved in this. They are finishing up its honors ensemble season. A quick overview of our student success is that we at the junior all-state in grades 7, 8, and 9, they completed their concert weekend. We had 8 students from Davisville Middle School, we had 2 from Wickford, and we had 9 from North Kingstown High School. This Wednesday night, the All-State Jazz Concert will be performing, and we have 1 student from Wickford, and we have 3 from the high school. And the All-State Week ends this Sunday with the senior level musicians from grades 10, 11, and 12, and we have 23 students performing there. We had a number of students that received first place for this year and second, so that's definitely a compliment to our staff, our music staff. And I want to recognize that 2 of our music teachers were important to the success of this statewide event. Abby Mills, who's the music teacher at Davisville Middle School, and she was the choral manager for REMA during this event. And Jonathan Ardette, who's one of our music teachers at Wickford Middle School, was the piano accompanist. So another way that our staff gets involved and really supports our children. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the superintendent report?
I have one quick question.
Yes.
The Rotary Scholarship, is there
Yes.
information on how students can apply for that?
I will find out. I know the high school has that, and they submit that, and they send that out to the students. So
Okay, so is that like probably in their newsletter or their weekly
I'm
newsletter?
sure.
Is
Yeah.
that? Okay.
I can find it. Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking if it's May, then probably the applications might be due fairly soon.
And this is, I could have reported out on this sooner, so it actually
Okay.
started in February.
Okay.
So
All right, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for Dr. Duba? Okay, moving on to routine items. We'll skip executive session for now because we will come back to that after. Before we make motion for the consent agenda, does anyone need to exempt anything from the consent agenda?
D.
Say it again.
E.
E, letter E? Yes, thank you. I thought you said B and I was
No.
confused. All right, so we'll take out E. Anything else? Okay, so can I get a motion for the consent agenda with the exception of letter E?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we will come back, we'll skip letter E for now and return to that later. Rob, do you want to?
Can I move up under new business, B, C, and D? Those are the transportation related items.
We actually-
To next on the agenda.
We need A prior to D. So A has to be approved in order for us to talk about D.
Okay.
Just
One more time.
So
So
move on.
move
we
on.
actually had some strategy in putting the agenda
No,
together.
let's just keep
I'm
going.
gonna-
No, just keep going. There's a couple things we can move through them quickly and then get to that. Okay. Would be my recommendation. All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to reports, policy advisory.
The Policy Advisory Committee last met on March 9th. This meeting was originally scheduled for February 23rd, but had to be rescheduled due to the storm. There was additional robust discussion on the proposed cell phone policy. Rob Mazzanati will be taking that to the administrators for feedback and then coming back to the group to discuss revisions. We picked up the proposed revisions to the district's appeal policy that we had started in December. This is the policy that outlines the process for students and parents and guardians to follow when they're seeking resolutions to differences. We will continue those discussions at our next meeting, which is scheduled for Monday, March 23rd.
Okay, any questions regarding that? Okay, moving on to special reports. We have two different reports attached to the agenda, the ride enrollment and then the quarterly personnel. Does anyone have any questions regarding those two reports?
Yeah, Ken, could you provide clarification on the quarterly personnel report as we discussed, please?
Sure, yes.
Because the attachment did not get updated.
And you're referencing the email you sent me?
I am.
Yes. Yeah, so there are appointments on here. This is the first section are all newly employees that were appointed. The next section we have resignations from the district. And the last section is terminations. Our HR department is going through all of the records and files that we've had over the past years and really trying to go through and make sure all records are accurate. And so there are staff on here that were not pulled off in past years, and we wanted to make sure that was updated. So this reflects any staff, especially the sports camp coaches that we haven't had in a while, taking them off our records.
So just to clarify, these are not terminations that have taken place in the past quarter?
No,
are terminations
so
that took
these
place
are
a while
some of them
ago
have been
and
from
they're
a
just
few
showing
years ago.
up today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can we get that maybe clarified and re-uploaded? Because that doesn't.
Yeah, because it shows an effective date of January 12th, and that's not accurate.
Yeah, so you're like maybe if
Yeah,
you
these
just
people
add
are
the
not-
date of like when their last date of employment was. Maybe.
We don't even need to. I know.
No.
Okay.
So what you're asking is the date that they last were employed in the district.
Correct. They should not be on this quarterly personnel report.
Yeah, I would probably recommend pulling them off the quarterly report and maybe just sending a memo to the school committee regarding those specific employees, just because it looks
It looks like we just fired
like a bunch of
15
people
sports camp coaches, which is not the case.
in this
And
quarter.
also, too, termination doesn't necessarily mean firing. It means like that their employment was.
But we didn't do it in this last quarter, so
No, I understand
And
that. I
just-
just want to make sure
yeah,
too, like we're
yeah.
firing.
And that was why I
Yeah.
wanted to get this
Yeah.
addressed before
Mhm.
this meeting, so that it was accurate for the packet.
Because ultimately, every summer we probably would
If
end
they-
it and
if
then
they
rehire
short-term,
them, so it'd be
correct.
like,
Yeah.
And these all should have been done in like a few summers back.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably.
Okay, so I'll make a note for that. And then any other questions regarding that though?
I just had a question on the bus monitors. So it looks like we reduced 2 left, and then we added 1. So are we down bus monitors because of this?
Where's
So
What are
like
you
there's
So
like
you
1 new
pointed
bus
one.
monitor, but then there was 2 that resigned. So I'm just curious, do we have enough bus monitors, or do we have some open positions? Are we-
Michelle, do you mind coming up to the mic and just answering that question, please?
What's BMA?
Behavioral management.
Oh, thank you.
Michelle Hume, Transportation Supervisor. Yes, we did have 2 resignations. We did hire somebody, and then somebody went out for maternity leave. We do have it posted currently, and we are actively hiring for those positions. We have a couple of that have applied and that are coming in for interviews this week.
So how many bus monitors are we down?
2 full-time.
2. And then do we like notify the parents, or how do we?
I did notify the parents.
Okay.
I sent out an email. You got it. Indicating that one of the bus driver, the monitor, did go out on maternity leave.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions regarding this? Okay, and then any other questions on the special reports as presented? Not, we'll move on to unfinished business.
Make a motion to discuss A1.
Okay.
Yeah. The other choice is if you want to do new business first, we could just take all of new business first and then come back to unfinished for
We
the.
can do that.
Yeah, that's probably
Yes.
like,
Okay.
yeah, right, yeah. So can I get a motion to move all of new business?
I will make a motion to move all of the business up.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 So so we'll come back to that.
I'll make a motion to discuss new business A.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so, I'll turn it over to Dr. Duba and,
Do you want me to?
sure?
Yeah, so these are recommendations from the Budget and Finance Advisory Committee. So they were to increase fund balance allocations. So the first was to increase turf replacement to $150,000, to add the CTE program non-technology, $100,000 to start, and then $75,000 each year going forward. To add curriculum, $100,000 to start and $100,000 each year going forward. To increase the fleet upgrade to $150,000. To add athletic capital, $100,000 to start and then $25,000 each year going forward. To increase playground to $100,000 and then $35,000 each year going forward. And then library media repairs and upgrades, $25,000 each year going forward. So we were just looking at how we would need money in the future, and instead of always going back to us each time asking for more money, just sort of build it in ahead of time. And then the second one, so it'd be two. Do you want to do those first? And I know it's like you'd have to vote individually, correct? Yeah.
Do we have more information, like, from,
Well, so that was, I had on February 14th, I had actually put through an agenda request in general to have a fund balance update and to discuss recommended allocations in total for this meeting, but it's my understanding that that's going to be on a future agenda, so I
the next meeting was.
would recommend that we table these requests so that we can discuss the fund balance as a whole and how these, because I don't think it makes sense to discuss these in a vacuum without looking at the entire fund balance.
I agree.
Yeah.
The only one I think we need to talk about is the fleet upgrade, correct? Because I feel like that's something we need now.
do we have information?
Well, I mean, before going down to the other one, that was one of my questions. There's no funding request for where this bus is. We're not there yet, but like.
Oh, okay. So would we just talk about it in that when we talk? They're kind of connected.
They are connected.
So if this is approved, right, then that is where the money is going to come from.
Okay, that's not listed anywhere on this.
Well,
There's no.
It sort of is in the other agenda item, though.
Yeah,
so
I
maybe
thought we
we
had
can
it.
just talk about it in that agenda item because there's all the sort of like the emails I had sent to try to get it on the agenda is attached to the other agenda item.
But there's actually, like, there is a
Okay, why don't
UCOA
we,
code on there, but it doesn't actually
I would recommend
exist anywhere.
leaving this one
Yeah.
for now, because I
So-
do agree, I'm not
I
against
was just-
any of these. I do think, though, like, looking at it and having Leslie here to walk through it,
Yeah.
like, I think that these are really good
Yeah, like I
recommendations from
support
the
all
committee.
these
but-
100%.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I agree,
just
and I-
think it
Yeah, so
needs-
let's keep
yeah.
going if everybody's in agreement, and then if we have to circle back to A5, we can.
Yeah.
But let's get through B, C, and D, and then when we get to D, if we have to come back up and do some sort of motion to rectify A, we can, if needed.
Okay, and then there was a second agenda item, and it was a motion to recommend that the school committee tasks Dr. Duber with finding the approximate market value rent for the Momentum renewal lease. And that's more just so that we kind of have an idea, not that we have to charge Momentum that when if we renew their lease, but to at least be prepared when their lease renewal comes up, like what, rent is and what we're charging them. And so that was why the Budget and Finance Committee kind of brought that up, was just so we'd be proactive about it versus when it comes to the school committee, we'd already have an idea of
Yeah, so
what
if you
it
want to
was.
make a motion for that, we can take that one separately, I think it's different.
Mhm, it is
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah. So, we're in a motion to discuss, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just need a motion to approve,
So
and
a
then we can
motion-
open that discussion up.
Yep, does
Yeah,
anyone-
so I'll make a motion to recommend that we task the superintendent with finding the approximate market value rent for the Momentum lease, renewal lease.
Second.
Okay, discussion regarding that?
I had commented half jokingly, but I am also serious that that would be something that the real estate agent that we're supposed to be contracting with for this building could look into for us. That way it's not something that the administration has to do.
Yeah.
I had a question, and I'm not sure. It's about the Momentum space. The only thing is, it might be about something that we can't discuss. So I don't know. So the momentum space, I was at that tail end of that budget and finance meeting where you said that the question was asked, is that taking up any classroom space for the preschool? And it was responded that no, the momentum classroom itself is not like taking a classroom from the pre-K. So the goal of the opening up the pre-K DA was to expand the pre-K. So are we, I guess at some point will we get, I know, I think I'm dabbling.
No, I think it's a totally fine conversation that's just not on the agenda. So
Yeah.
I'll make a note for next agenda to talk about it. And then I think, but at the same time, I do think that part of that conversation would be knowing what we could get for the market value. Like, I think if we approve this, that doesn't negate having other conversations about if we even want to do that. But I do think if we have that information, it might help us make some decisions too. So I think
Right.
we could have both conversations parallelly, but I would recommend just sticking to this part, and then we can put that on for a future
Yeah,
agenda.
I think that's why the budget and finance was just saying, like, let's have that for when that conversation comes up instead of us being during the meeting and being like, oh, we don't have this information.
Right, right.
Are we supposed to be like reviewing the momentum lease anyways
Yeah.
coming
It
up?
was a 1 year, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
so what I'm
Okay.
hearing is, before we make a decision about, we will make a decision about that, if we wanna continue it, if it's working, if the administration will come to a recommendation. All of that said, if we do decide to renew it, what I'm hearing is that the Building Advisory Committee would like to have more information from a revenue standpoint about what the market value of a space like that should cost, because last time we did it, we didn't have those comps. So I would support this motion to look into that, and then, not saying that I would support anything else beyond that, but I think it's interesting
Good
information
information
to
to
have
have.
as we
Yep.
think about possibly renewing their lease for next year, which will sneak up on us, so I'm in
Right, so
support
this
of
will
the
be
motion.
kind of part of us discussing the renewal of the lease.
Discussion.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but Megan, I did make a note about the other topics you brought up, and we can most certainly add that to a future
Yeah,
agenda.
which would have to go whenever we get this, like, we have to wait for this number to come back, right, for those topics to make any
Well, I mean, if we don't wanna do it at all, it doesn't matter how much it costs, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so with that said, not that I'm saying that is the case, just hypothetically, obviously. Okay, so any other comments on the motion to approve, tasking the administration in finding out what that market value rent could be? Any questions, actually?
No, I just would need to be able to reach out to someone that has the experience able to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, that's probably, I think what Jen said was right, like if
and
it's
so
a
once
real
we-
estate,
Yep, so that's
Yeah.
that.
could be another thing we could have them
Yeah.
do.
I would add, it doesn't, we're asking Dr. Dubo, but Dr. Dubo most certainly can delegate.
You can delegate to
that.
anyone.
I know, but the way it's written, it says task superintendent.
Okay,
I think there should
I will
be
amend my motion
Well,
to
then
tax the
delegate that to someone.
administration.
great, and being able to figure out what that might look like, huh? I'm just saying. All right, any other discussion regarding this? All right, and again, voting yes on this does not mean anything to do with the topic more beyond just the sentence, so,
It's just research.
yeah. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to B.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
Second.
Dear God, make these right. Okay. Hey, Michelle.
Actually, I lied. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Oh, that makes me so happy, Jen.
What, did I miss something?
Yeah,
she
motion
made
to
a motion.
approve.
She made a motion to
We're not
approve.
Thank you.
though.
Oh, okay, okay, we're discussing, okay.
Step one.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve B, and so any questions regarding renumbering bus S14 to bus 21?
Have we done this yet, or will we do this once it's approved?
We're doing this once it's approved.
And then, okay, perfect.
Any other questions regarding the request to renumber bus S14 to bus 21? Does everyone feel like they have the appropriate documentation in order to vote affirmatively for this? Yeah? Okay, great. That sounds exciting for us. Let's call the motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
I appreciate everyone working on that.
Thank you.
Moving on to C. Can I get a motion for C, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we have a request for a 4-year contract for bus 21. Do we have any questions regarding that?
My only question is, why didn't we just do the same agreement that we have and make it a new one instead of an extension? Because I thought it was a new bus.
I thought there was a new one.
Say again?
The
Well,
page.
basically, what's attached calls an extension to the agreement, but I thought it was totally new.
It's a spare bus, but it was still under a prior contract that would have expired out in
But
26.
I thought the VIN number on that contract is different, because now we just switched the numbers.
Right, because but this now applies to what is now bus 21, which is the one that's going to extend out for the 3 or 4 year period.
But you know what I'm saying?
No, there's a memo on page 214 of the packet that says requesting a 4-year contract, approval of a new 4-year contract.
Right, that's why I was like, why are we doing an extension? Why didn't we just do the, the one that everyone has?
Jen's saying it's not an extension.
Yeah,
right?
I'm saying there's a note that's saying, because this is what we talked about the last time, we were saying it shouldn't have been an extension, because there was
Well,
no contract to extend.
So four-
Yes,
so
but
in
on
other
page
words, instead of
205
separate-
is an extension.
Yeah, 214 is a new contract.
Oh, wait, there's a,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Can we
requesting
pick one?
approval of a new 4-year contract.
yeah, 214 was added, and it said it's a new contract.
No, let me just see.
no, there's not, page 214 is
So
a new
the
contract.
page 205, right?
See, I'm just going to award me a 4-year extension on the contract for bus 21. That's why I wrote it as the extension.
Right, but I think the VIN number is different now on bus, am I right saying that? Like the
Yes,
original bus
it will.
21
Spare,
is the
now it's the
agreement.
regular. The other one
Correct, it
goes
was
away.
spare, now it's a regular, but he does need, because it has 4 years left on it, that it can be utilized for a frontline bus, it would need a 4-year contract.
So that's why I think at the
So,
last
like-
meeting I said, like, let's just give him a 4-year contract.
So I guess the biggest thing is the 4-year contract, is the contract that's in front of us, regardless of how we got there with either a renewal or not, is that what we are looking for? Like, what is presented to us?
Well, I don't think we
Yeah.
should say extension, I think we should
You
just
change
have it
the
look
title of that.
exactly like the other one and
Yeah.
be for 4 years.
Okay, so can we make, in our motion to approve, can we just say, with this change?
Yeah, if you want to strike the extension.
Yeah.
I think we should just do the same contract that we give everyone. Or like the
But we
same
don't
one
have-
that he
we don't-
has before,
Wait.
like, just
That
give
was
him
the,
the
that was the
same.
contract we were playing off. That was the bill of sale thing.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't, like, there's an agreement with every single contractor.
Yeah, the bills of sale.
Yeah, it's not, this is progress.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what you're saying about, I'm happy to make the amendment for the language, but I think for the sake of, I think it's, I'm comfortable at least voting for.
Yeah, it's right, yeah, like, I think we
should.
should just say agreement instead of extension, because then I feel
Yeah.
like it's gonna confuse to the other contract, which
Yeah,
I
which
think
is-
you'd rather have just
that's
a new
fine.
one.
If Andrew thinks it's fine, I think that's fine.
That doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
right.
Again, the real purpose is just to track with exhibits, so when we're looking at a document,
matter.
you can see what the history was and where
Yeah.
it came from and where it went to.
Yeah. I see what Sherry's saying though about the bid.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
do
sense to
too.
me, so I would say whoever makes the motion, I would make the recommendation.
So the agenda item says request for a 4-year contract for bus 21, and that's what I made a motion to
Yeah.
approve that. Is that good enough, or do you want me to change it?
Just say with, like, withdraw it and then say
Okay,
the
so
same thing
withdraw it?
with language, with word change as discussed.
I'm going to withdraw my motion, and I'm going to make a motion to approve a request for a new 4-year contract for bus number 21. Yes? Yes?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, and we'll just note for discussion purposes that we're changing the word extension to new contract, because of the VIN number change. Correct, Sherry?
Yes, and also, sorry, I just noticed this, shouldn't Michelle or someone from the school department also sign this? Andrew?
I just attached the
Usually
minutes,
I
because
just-
the minute, that's gonna be exhibit 4, is gonna be the vote of this, so that's gonna be your tacit approval. The signature and notarization will come from the contractor.
Right, but we didn't actually sign to agree, so we don't need to sign it?
No, because exhibit 4 is gonna be the minutes from this meeting where you approved it.
Okay,
You know what I mean? So that part's memorialized already.
all right, I didn't know if we'd have one of
No,
us.
no, that's fine, that's
I would
actually a
sign
good
it.
question, but that's why exhibit 4 is blank. Because
Okay.
it's gonna, you're gonna have to attach those minutes. That's your official action.
Got it.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to D.
Make a motion to discuss?
Second.
Okay, questions from the committee or any information that the administration wants to provide?
I need a second, because I see that there's been a new memo uploaded that wasn't there, so I have to read it. So I see that there is a request here to fund this out of the, now I see what you were talking about. This was not attached as of yesterday, so, but there is already money in the fund balance allocated to fleet upgrades. So I don't know if it's necessarily dependent upon having to approve the fund allocation, which is why I think it's important that these, things are discussed ahead of time, or because the last fund balance we were provided had $210,000 allocated to fleet upgrades in it. Has that money been spent?
Bridget's giving you a phone if I'm not doing that.
Well, I don't have it in front of me to answer that question accurately, so I don't want to just.
You don't want
I mean, unless you did you.
So I can just speak to that.
Hi, Bridget. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, Bridget Hayes, Director of Operations. So I can just speak to the fact that prior to Leslie's vacation, she and I met, and she informed me that we needed to fund the fund balance in order to pay for this new vehicle.
Okay.
But that's where her recommendation was for the money to come from, because I have not seen the budget myself, but that is what our discussion was together.
So I guess my question is where did the money that was in the fund balance for fleet allocations
We know you don't know that
go?
answer.
And I know you don't know that
worry.
I'm saying it out loud
Yeah.
because, and this
Was
is
that
why.
the other
I
bus
was
though
going to say
that we
that
bought
was
this year?
when we purchased the.
Right, wasn't the other one?
The van.
The van.
Earlier from the last van that we purchased.
I think that was the fund balance, right?
Okay, so in the interest of confusion,
So I guess this is my point, is why it is important to have like updated
is this, I know
information
that this bus,
presented
I'm
to
sure,
us
is very,
when
very
we're
important.
asking.
Is it very, very important in the next 2 weeks, or is this something that we can get, everyone's nodding at me with vigor?
Well,
Can we phone a friend?
for us, it's very, very important in the next 2 weeks because I still have to put it out to bid.
Yeah.
And that whole process that's going to go along with it, where it's going to take time. And I don't know if I had put it in the memo or if this was just something, I mean, our fleet is tired.
Yeah.
I mean, and we have like 10 home to school
So that was
runs,
my
and we
other
have
question.
9 in really good, that's in good working condition. So like every day we're putting a Band-Aid on one. So like and it takes a year, and actually one of the vendors that we work through, some of them, they have some of them on the lot, which would mean we would eliminate that one school year because we don't have a year to really wait, and every day is
So
crucial.
is this for a vehicle that exists somewhere, or is this for one that you're?
There is a vehicle that exists
Okay.
somewhere.
So we have unallocated fund balance, so I don't have a problem approving the purchase without specifying like exactly where the money comes from. That's not an
Or
issue.
at least it'll start the process.
It'll
We won't
start the
actually be
process,
approving
right.
it. We'll just be able to go out to bid, like,
You'll be able
we'll
to go
see it
to bid
again,
for it.
basically,
Exactly.
and be able to figure out where the money comes from. This would at least, we could start the process without,
Right.
Yeah.
We have the money. The where it comes from is to be shaked out. But I do have concerns over approving $200,000 purchases without actual documentation when it's coming from fund balance, without seeing where the money is, especially, so.
Can we make a motion to go out to bid? Because that's what you need, right?
We don't even need to do that, can't, she
No.
just
Oh,
put
we
it
don't
out?
need to do it?
You can put it out, and then we can always
Yeah.
come back.
All
Oh,
right, so
okay.
I,
Yeah, so.
I'm not voting on
But,
anything.
and I just had one other question. I noticed when going through your backup, you had the mileage listed. Can you just make sure that's updated on the fleet
Sure.
asset list?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have no problem approving this with updated information on the, fund
Yeah,
balance.
It sounds like we don't need to approve it today,
Okay.
as long as,
You can
because
put
they
out
can
to
go
bid
out to bid
without us.
without us approving
Okay.
it,
We can
and
come back
then
with
at our
that
next meeting, we
information.
can
Okay.
converge those two things.
Jen is correct. I mean, there is money in the fund balance to make the transfer.
Yeah, so it sounds like, Ken, we need a little bit more information on what happened
Yeah,
to
we'll go back
the
with what
money. Yeah,
the
get some info from
other
Leslie, but
200,000.
it sounds like from a not holding things up standpoint, we don't need to vote on this evening, which means we also don't need to vote on A5 this evening, but we'll be able to have a comprehensive conversation at a future meeting, and then also we'll figure out the other piece before, if we need to do
We
this.
can come back. We can
all
go
of
out
those things
to
can
bid,
happen
and we can
later.
come back.
Yeah.
But
All right.
And
With
we
the
may have
action.
spent it on those vans or buses.
I don't know.
I don't
Okay.
We'll
But,
find
so
out.
but there is money there, and we'll figure out a way to pay for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, any other questions regarding that item?
Nope.
Okay, so, do I need a motion to table that then? Or do I just continue
Pass
to
it.
It's passed.
right? Are you gonna, you
We
can
were
pass.
open for discussion, like,
Oh,
we
that
could
is
just,
tabled then.
yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to table.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll move on to E. Where are we? Yeah, right. Yes, E, please. Do we have a motion for E?
Make a motion to discuss.
Not approved.
I just had a question.
Okay.
Just because.
Wait, I need a second.
Oh,
Second.
Thank you.
only because I have the same, like, issue, quote unquote, on mine. Like, the position still exists, the person just doesn't right now.
I know, but we did the same thing when Sally left. We took her off, so I assume we had to do that.
Oh, see, I never did. I left
Oh.
it on. So that's why I'm asking, only because the position still exists.
I'm
So could
taking
it
it off
affect
because of
quorum?
It does affect quorum.
I
Like-
don't, in my
I mean,
mind, it
it's-
didn't because the person didn't exist to fill the role.
But
But that's a good question. Like, Andrew, how does that work?
I mean, they should be removed.
Okay,
technically.
and that's fine. So I just, when I saw this, I was like, oh, do I have to do the same thing?
Well, only because you don't know if you don't know. Like, what if you're down one person because, you know, you're saying that position's still there, but like you just won't know until
Like,
a
I
bunch
would
of
have
people don't
quorum
show
on
up.
Thursday
And then
if we didn't take her off.
Okay.
So that's the only reason I did that.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to have the conversation to know, like, in places
Role
where
versus
it's
person.
a role versus person, what the procedure was, like how to define that moving
Yeah,
forward.
right, is it Andrew too, because otherwise it counts towards quorum.
Yeah, if someone's being removed, you should officially remove them, and if they're being replaced or someone's new's being put on, you should officially.
Yeah,
put
and it
them
doesn't matter what their title is, or their.
So,
Like,
like,
so
for
she-
example, if you used Trish as an example, right? So the nutrition services manager,
Yep.
like, if she left,
And then a new nutrition's manager came on.
yeah, you'd have to still do it though. Because that's what they're saying is the position's vacant.
but
And
that's
the
But the
only
position
reason.
the position belongs on the committee,
Right,
but it's
but-
vacant.
Well, then I think because I guess for keeping track of it. In other words, if the position was if someone Andrew came out and Kenny came in, I'd be less concerned. But if you're listing the position as there and there's no one filling it, I think we should have some memorialization of that because it's going to impact your quorum.
yeah, because it could be months before you fill
Exactly.
Okay.
and who
All right.
knows?
Exactly.
Then
Yep.
I'll
Okay,
put mine
so-
for the next one.
Yep.
Okay, so
So-
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Quorum will be happier. Item F.
I
Make a
will make
motion.
a motion to approve the initial proposal as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item G.
Skip for now.
No,
No.
you have that one.
Oh, I have that one, sorry. I will make a motion to uphold the superintendent's recommendation to suspend and then terminate the employment of employee G pursuant to Rhode Island General Law Title 16 and Rhode Island Workers' Compensation Laws.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll go back up to unfinished business.
Make a motion to discuss unfinished business A.
Second.
Okay,
So I had asked for this to be put on, but I had also hoped to have had the information that we had requested from Perkins Eastman, to go.
And I followed up with a
hand in hand.
request to them.
Yeah, no, I know. So, but okay, but I still think it's important to have the discussion, anyways, about some of these ad-alts, which are on the list of ad-alts, but are not really alternatives or, or ways to discuss how we are going to fund some of
Right.
these things, which are not really extras and really are things that were considered initially within the scope of the project. So I just wanted to put it out there to have a discussion. Specifically, the fields, the theater. I know we've had these.
the generator
The
and the
generator
geothermal
and the
are ones that I think
Yeah.
need alternate, like,
Yeah.
so I think not knowing where you were, so my thought on this is when things are alternates, usually they don't get rolled back in, and so, but these are definitely some things that are important, I think, to the community and the district, and so, like, in a perfect world, we would end up having money and they would just get swept back in, but what I've usually seen is the opposite, things get taken out, and so, I think, so as if not to open a school with no fields, or to open a school with not the generator that the town wants, or, you know, those sort of things, like, kind of what conversations and planning do we need to have at this point to either find alternative funding or partial funding in the project to be able to set up things, or kind of, I think, what the committee would like to see happen, because ultimately we will get to a place where this just, we'll have no plan for these things, I guess. And so I guess the conversation is kind of what would we like to see, or what information could we get provided as we make decisions? Is that kind of where we're at?
And I think some of this, like maybe some of these, like some of the, I'm going to call it small, but it's not small, like the theater equipment, right? Like when we have the fund balance conversation, is that something that we can discuss? Like, is that something that we can fund from fund balance, right? The generator, is that something that we can work out with the town, because that's something that, you know, is going to support, you know, a town-wide initiative, right? Then you get into the bigger dollar, like the fields. Are there alternate funding sources that we can look at to support that? And like, what are we doing in terms of like federal?
Which could also be a conversation with the town.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like for rec purposes and stuff.
Right, and like, you know, from a federal standpoint, like, have we exhausted any possible alternatives there? So I just want to make sure that we have like come up with the ones that we have identified on here as, we'll call them must-adds instead of alt-adds, and, you know, coming up with possible scenarios for funding them.
So I can, if you don't mind me
No,
sharing
please.
some information. So there are certain things I think we need to prioritize over others that are on this list here, because what I've been saying, I'll just speak for myself, is that we need to really focus in on the educational programming of our building. The building itself is very important, the structure of the building is important, but we're building a school because we need to provide education to students. So when I look at this list, my priorities as a superintendent and what I recommend, and it's conversations I've had internally, I've had with our project team, I've had with our administration, I've talked with our OPM, the athletic fields are probably a number one priority because they impact the educational programming that we're providing to students for physical education. Can you provide physical education inside of a gym? Yes. Can we provide a lot more and follow the curriculum and the scope and sequence by having the fields that we need? 100%, and we need to be looking into that. It also impacts the extracurricular activities that we are providing to our students. So we are, you know, that is something that we need to look at. We can look at the fund balance. We have a line in our fund balance that we have specifically for capital improvement that we've added, but we also know that there are other items off of our CIP list that are not funded through the bond, right? Including this. So we do have a means of that we could be funneling money into to get there over the next few years, which I would recommend that we should be doing, but we also could be looking at grants, and so we are doing that. We are actively looking at what grants we have. We actually have a meeting coming up with the town and Bridget, myself, and the town planner, just to see what other grants are out there. So we are doing that ourselves, so we can start looking at how we can fund, because it's important that we have funding sources for the items we need. The same thing is with the theatrical lighting, sound, and stage curtains, right? We're going to be, you know, building within the school, the cafeteria and the stage is there, but you can't really run a program without having what you need. So again, it could be grants, it could be fund balance, it could be looking at fundraising. However we need to do that, those are the sources that we're looking at. It's $500,000. You know, it's a hefty number, but we're not looking at millions to do something like that, and we want to make sure that we have something like that in place for our students who are then going off to the high school, where we have even at the high school level, sometimes we bring lighting and sound in for our performances. So that is another area that we are looking at, you know, as a need. Third, air source heat pumps and the trimming for the natural gas boiler. Reason for that is we're looking at how are we making sure that our building is energy efficient. So by looking at that source, we're continuing to support the sustainability goals, right, that we are setting for the new middle school. If it's incorporated into the project, that will provide 85% electrification. Electricity is better than having gas. So again, a reason for us to be looking at that.
One question on that, there's
Yes.
no dollar value on here.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You just said the air source heat pumps.
Yes, that we needed, yeah.
Okay.
And so that, it does say see the VE list, so that is something that we are, they're still looking at. We actually had a call today regarding the energy sources and any rebates that we could get back for the future. So we're
Okay.
still in that design phase. They shared this today through the DD process. They're putting all that information together for us too.
Okay.
So, the generator, again, we're working with the town on that, in coordination with the town of putting the proper generator in place so that we have the middle school as a relief center, but also that generator is going to help us too if we lose power, right, and keep the school ready. The leaching fields, I noted. Right now, we're looking at reusing the existing system. If we can put new leaching fields in place instead of the current system, we're starting new. We're building a new school. Why not start fresh? So it's another area that we need to look into. And then we have the geothermal system that's there as well. The reason why I have that kind of at the end, it's the most expensive, right? And we know that there's that's requiring a large piece of funding in order to do that. There are no more federal incentives or rebates on that. So you'd have to look if that is something.
Are you sure?
That's what we've been told. We've been in our meetings that they're not available.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there are other
I just
sources
know
you have to.
at my real job, I know that they're doing something at the Bay campus similar, and I don't, maybe they got grandfathered into something, but
Well, if there is, then
Yeah,
you
that-
can. But
yep.
I mean, share with me
I don't know
what they're
anything.
looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, what they might be using,
Yeah.
or maybe it could have been something that they had from prior.
Or got proof
us moving.
before.
Yeah, I would assume that
Before.
your company would know, like the company
Right.
that's building our building would know, but
So we'd have to look at another
Yeah.
funding source there, if that is something we want to do. But again, like we'd have to make, we'd have to talk about, do we take out another loan from somebody? Do we work with,
so I
we'd
think,
have to have conversations with the town in order to do something like that.
yeah, so I think as far as, that's good that you're thinking and looking at these things, like I think that's definitely the right choice, and so is there specific things from the committee that we would like to see, like or timeline of what that looks like, you know what I mean, like what is the expectation, I guess, of the committee in this conversation, or thoughts from folks?
I think I would like to have like a documented like plan for like which ones are the priorities, which ones are like the ones that are like we're targeting to have, like I heard you say money for non-bond capital improvements, right? I can't remember how much that money is, but for, let's just roughly say for $2 million, like if you're assuming no other funding sources, right? Like a $2 million field, like that would take, this is not the right math, 4 years to get there, right? So like if that is the plan,
Their
what,
plan, what
Yeah,
we need to
strategic.
what,
put in
right,
each year.
that's the strategic plan. What would the plan be to support those programs in that time frame? So I would like to see some type of outline for, these are the ones that we think are achievable to fund, this is the plan for doing them, and for the ones that we can't, this is our target to get there. Just so that we can have some forward-looking,
So that we're not opening a building and having no fields,
Yeah,
or whatever it might be.
right.
The other thing I do want to note with the geothermal, we are under a very, very tight timeline with that, and they're telling us that, by April 1st, we need to be making a decision if that's going to be included in the design plans or not.
Because that's the other thing, I don't want to be carrying a list of $8 million of add-ons, into the project that is not realistic.
Right.
So I just think that we all need to have a conversation about, the ones that are truly ones that we are going to be.
And what is potentially achievable for us.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then maybe take the ones that aren't, don't keep having them on the list.
Right.
So as people might think
Right, I don't want
it's a
anybody
possibility.
who isn't dialed into the conversations to look at that, like you said.
Yeah, and
say,
be like, oh,
oh,
it's still being considered
Yes.
when it's
When
something
it's
that
not, yeah.
maybe, like you were saying, if there's things we need to know by a certain date and we're not going to have it, then just take it off the list.
right.
So, serious question. When you say I'd like to know, like I'd like a list, because I agree with you, who would you like the list to come from?
Who do you think is the best person to prepare it?
Personally, I, Dr. Duva, and the administration.
Yeah.
I'm just saying because I don't even.
Well, we would go to the building advisory committee.
Well, I mean, we could go to the building advisory committee, but
That's
I'm just
literally what
thinking, you're on it anyway, and you're the one who has the most.
I would like their feedback though.
No, I'd love that.
I
I think that would be
So
wonderful.
maybe it's like
But-
something
To the
administration
building
brings to the
advisory
building
Yes,
subcommittee.
I think that's the thing. I think
Before it
if we-
comes back to the school committee.
right, because I mean, I also don't
We
want to
can
sit
have
through a
that
meeting and.
discussion at our next
When
meeting.
is your next meeting?
April
April
1st.
Thank you. Which
Can you put
Okay.
that on your agenda for
Yeah.
April 1st?
we
And
can. And
then,
I'm already having those conversations with Sam, so we've been talking,
Mhm.
going through.
yeah, so, and then our next meeting after that is and I'm not expecting the list by the next meeting, but if you could come back to us
Yeah.
with the feedback from the building
I
advisory.
mean, we're
committee.
actually at that point, it's kind of like what we need to be doing, so.
Okay.
But I think the committee, at some point, like, all the ad alternates were approved as part of the stage, whatever it was, 2, 3, wherever we were. And so I think having options and understanding like viability is important because you probably likely, although I hear what you're saying about taking them off, like if there is a world where then there is money in the project, you don't want to take them off your alternates. Like they've been submitted. Yeah, but they've been submitted to RIDE. Like
No, I
RIDE
mean, like-
approved
like
Or maybe
them as part
it's,
of the Stage
tiers
3.
or something?
Yeah, like we
Maybe-
can
or
have
maybe it's ranking.
prioritization and
Maybe
we can have a
ranking.
plan, but like
Yeah,
those
we
are
have
still
it
submitted
as a
already.
priority, and so
Yeah.
we know this is what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
It's just
money's
we have
going
to- I
to
think we
get
wanna be
first,
realistic.
Second,
Yeah.
third.
Right, because I mean, right now this isn't ranked, I'm assuming.
No.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so maybe it's just having a ranking, even though like, I get what you're saying, Ellen, we
Yeah.
can't like totally take it off.
No, and also like, depending on how the project rolls and when funding becomes available, like it might, you can only do this one now. Like, like it, as far as like the bond funding and things like that, like the timing might dictate the prioritization of where we're at as well, depending on,
Yeah, so
What
maybe just having a
happens and how it
ranking,
rolls out.
because right now we just have a list that's not ranked.
yeah, because this is over 5 years, right? Like 4 years, 4 years left, yeah. All right. Anything else on this one? So it sounds like next steps is the administration will
Bring it
meet with the
to
town.
building advisory.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be meeting with the town, looking into other options, and then working with the advisory committee, and then coming back
Yeah,
to
we're meeting
us.
with town, just like what possible grants are out there that we
Yeah.
could be looking at
Yeah.
to use for.
I think
schools,
grants, but
so.
also exploring possible, for lack of a better word, like partnerships. Like, is there an opportunity for, like, the rec department or whatnot to also look at like funding and different things of how we get to fields, or like with the generator, we have a base generator like in the building already budgeted in. This is the above and beyond one to have the emergency.
And that
Like, what
conversation's
can that look like? Like, like I do think that there's some opportunity to collaborate with the town's budget, not the town people. I know they're very collaborative, but like, what can that look like in their capital funds, in their like, et cetera. So I think having some sort of plan of like, if we're not able to roll this in and we want to achieve this, this is what the funding could possibly look like. Or to your point, like the town would need to fundraise X, like we need to start engaging the boosters, we need to start looking at, what that might look like
Yeah,
as well.
I was just gonna say, like, does anybody wanna buy us a field? And I only say that
Yes.
half jokingly, like, look at
Naming.
East Greenwich with the
Yeah.
nice, named athletic field, right? Like, I mean.
The
doesn't it?
Robert Mezzanotte baseball field. Wait, hold
An
on.
extra $2 million
What's your law
fund?
firm, Andrew? You're probably our best bet at the table. The Hennius Carroll, whatever,
HCL.
baseball.
HCL,
Perfect.
we'll throw it out there.
No, it's
HCL
not.
field.
That's a very normal. EG just did it,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
what
did
I mean.
There may be
Newport.
someone out there.
Newport
that
did it
is
as well.
looking to-
But that actually is a huge process, though. Like it's not as easy as someone writes you a check
Yeah,
to
right,
fundraise.
well, we got
and-
5 years to get it done, so,
You would need a
But someone
Donate
might want to
it.
do that with the
Yep.
theatrical equipment that we
right.
Yeah, so I
Exactly.
think it's just,
Someone that
I think
wants
what
to
we're looking
support
for is
the
like the
arts.
plan and the
Yeah.
roadmap, and then if we need to execute it,
Mhm.
knowing what we would be executing. All right, so good conversation. Any other thoughts on that? Let's move on to B.
Okay, I'll make a motion to discuss. So this is the second read of the, I'll make a motion to discuss, purchasing procedures competitive bidding. This is the second read of an existing policy which has been revised to update the dollar limits in accordance with the town charter. We've also updated the language to mimic the town charter where applicable, and then added a section about contracting with small businesses, minority businesses, women's businesses, and labor surplus area firms. In addition, we pulled in parts of policy DJF, purchasing procedures, and then we'll be recommending that policy be deleted once these revisions are approved. Since the last meeting, there have been additional changes made that have been requested by Dr. Duba post-Blizzard, after he had a chance to reflect on our current policy and the impact that an emergency can have on the district. Those changes are noted in blue in the draft that is attached. The one piece that we have to determine this evening, if we are going to proceed as noted, is whether there should be a dollar amount cap associated with the change orders, and if so, what that should be. Dr. Duba's request was to remove the cap, but Andrew pointed out that with a $5 million construction contract, 10% of that could be $500,000. And does Dr. Duba want, and do we want him to have sole authority to make that change?
Not at that amount.
Try to help you.
So thank you, Andrew. So, with that, I will open it up for discussion.
Well, it sounds like we want a dollar amount.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would suggest maybe,
So-
you know, maybe putting that dollar around like either 20 or 25, right? I just think 15 might be a little
Low.
Low.
Yeah.
Has Sam given you any indication?
So
of
he
what
was,
is your typical?
be completely honest, I
Yeah.
played some phone tag with him, but he was looking into that for me.
Okay.
So as far as this policy goes, do we need to make adjustments, Jen?
Yeah, I need right now it says superintendent is authorized to approve change orders to existing contracts without school committee approval in an amount not to exceed 10% and not greater than $15,000 is what the current policy says. We want to up that $15,000 number up to, what'd you say, Ken, 25?
20.
I said either 20 or 25.
Either 20 or 25. So that gives Ken permission to approve no more than $20,000 or $25,000 in change orders without our approval.
So if we thought it was supposed to cost $100,000 and it costs $125,000, Ken can do that without coming to the school committee to ask for the extra $25,000.
But if it costs $130,000, he cannot.
And do we think the 25,000 is sort of on the
Standard.
standard for the Wickford? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where you're
Right.
not coming
That's a
every
standard.
meeting. Like, I'm just curious. I don't know how the change orders.
I don't want to hold up things, but I also
Yeah.
Right.
want to make you live.
Side, I
wouldn't
know.
go much higher.
I wouldn't
than
be
that.
comfortable as an
That's why I said, Ken,
individual.
do you even want this? No.
I wouldn't, honestly.
So why don't we say 20 then? Is that what?
20.
No more than 20,000?
No more than 20.
Yeah.
All right.
The 20?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was the only thing other than the other change that he put in, which was just adding
Thank
the
you for the
language from the master price agreement part, and just the additional change in the language around the emergency purchase.
The only thing I just
So
to
that's
note
a
about
lot
the master,
Like,
Yeah, we can, we do not need to
Yeah.
approve it tonight, we can review it one more time, that's fine.
yeah, I just feel like I'm always down for like a sentence or two, but that I kind of want to see the.
Yeah.
We don't
and
have
it's
a
just
red
because of like
marked
what
up.
happened. We're like, we really need to look at this. The other thing too, we have the MPA in there. We also are part of the higher education sourcing too, with higher ed. We're a member of them as well. So you got the MPA and you have that other
Yep.
one that we are able to use because they already have awarded contracts that are out there that we can select from.
And those.
You did not give me higher ed.
I'm just that was
Thinking
Okay.
it.
yeah, it was something that Bridget and I had talked about
Okay.
earlier today.
Okay, so it sounds
probably
like-
is something we probably want to add
Okay.
to that as well, just the way it's in there.
Yep.
That there are those two organizations that already approve contracts that we are allowed to go off of.
Okay, so I'll add the 20.
And that it's in the policy,
give
so you
me
know
the
we're doing it, but it
verbiage
was-
for higher ed, and we'll bring it back for a
Mhm.
third read.
Yeah.
Are there comments or questions from the committee that they want looked at in that intro?
Did you ever get that handbook we talked about the last time?
What are you talking
The purchasing, we talked about,
Yes, the Warwick thing.
yes,
Did I send it to you guys?
no.
No.
I got it.
We.
Okay.
I actually, I remember getting it.
Okay.
Yep,
Did you
that's
send
on
it
me.
Okay, all right, so,
So we're gonna come back to
we're
this.
good with that, and so I'll table the second read recommended for deletion.
All right, do we need a second?
Yeah, I need a second
Second.
on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then can we move to correspondence? Oh, wait, no.
No,
Yeah,
no,
wait.
we gotta go back.
Ooh.
No, let's
Okay,
go
correspondence,
Yes,
then we'll go
okay.
back.
March 3rd, Robert Jones School Committee agenda items. March 13th, Robert Jones, North Kingstown High School presentation and public agenda packet. And with that, I will make a motion to recess to executive?
Yeah.
Recess?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we will come out of executive session. We'll go to item A. We'll disclose that there were no votes taken in the executive session today. Can I get a motion to seal the executive minutes of March 17th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll move to item E, which we had taken out of the consent agenda earlier. Can I get a motion for item E?
I make a motion to approve the superintendent's appointment and to approve the contract as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then can I get a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
No correspondence?
Oh, we already did.